On average, it costs 4 times as much to raise a child with special needs. Part of this expense is adaptive equipment. The average number of pieces of equipment needed is 4 to 6 per child. Even the care for children without physical disabilities can be staggering. A child with autism may incur expenses of over $60,000 per year. So, how do parents deal with this? Insurance doesn't always cover equipment and costs. Thankfully, there are some organizations that think of the kids and their parents. Variety, the Children's Charity of Illinois, is one such. Their guiding principle is be active, be social, and belong. And they remove mobility and communication barriers by providing the necessary equipment and devices, as also inclusive opportunities for all children. Angelique Bartel, the executive director, joins me today on the podcast to share their story of how Variety Children's Charity came to be and what programs they run. Welcome, Angelique.
Hello, Tej. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I love your name. I love the sound of your name,
Oh,
Angelique.
thank you. We both got blessed with beautiful names from our moms.
Absolute pleasure to have you on our podcast.
Thank you for
Let's
having me.
begin. Yeah, let's begin with the name variety. The name itself has Variety Care Center. I'm assuming a variety of people came together with a common intention.
That is true, but the actual etymology of the word came from the history of the organization. It began back in 1920s vaudeville. The entertainment
Mm-hmm,
industry was,
mm-hmm,
there was a social club of men who would gather, who were movie theater owners or silent movies, the vaudeville experiences, anything that was entertainment related. And the story of Variety goes that a baby was left on the doorstep of a theater, and these gentlemen found this baby and they didn't know what to do. So they
mm-hmm,
started, they took care of her. They kind of passed her around from one home to another. They raised money for her. She got to be about 5 years old, and they realized this is not how a child should be growing up.
mm-hmm.
So she
Oh,
was able, they found her an adopted family, and they realized that now they didn't have something to do. They still wanted to raise money to help children, and Variety
mm-hmm.
was born from the variety of ways that different types of entertainers and the entertainment industry could help a variety of children.
Oh, that's a beautiful story. And I did read up the name. I think the name was Catherine.
Catherine Variety Sheridan is what her
Yeah,
adopted family, that they kept Variety as her middle name. It was very sweet.
beautiful. That's beautiful. Yeah. So let's coming back to the cause of this organization. You are providing equipment to differently abled children, correct?
Yes.
Uh, is it that this equipment is not borne by the insurance companies, and that is why you need to pitch in?
That is correct. Variety only grants equipment that is not covered by insurance plans. That is
Okay.
exactly why we exist, at least in the United States. Our focus is more on disability. We are an international organization, so some of the chapters around the world have different focuses, poverty, any kind of disadvantage. But here in the States, we do focus on providing the equipment that insurance doesn't. And that's quite a lot. As you mentioned at the beginning of the show, it's so expensive. And a lot of these things, especially adaptive bicycles, you just don't really think about providing a bike for a child. If you have a typically developed child, you just go to the store and buy one, and they're
Exactly.
usually less than $100. One of the bikes we granted
True.
a few years ago was $8,000, and that's the only way that that kiddo could go for bike rides. So
Right. So a lot of sacrifices on the part of the child as well as the parents in giving them a happy childhood. And you are providing, of course, that little bit of happiness in the child's life.
yes.
Uh, so can parents approach your organization saying that, the child needs so and so thing? Or Is it that you evaluate that this is something that the child can do with?
No, the parents or organizations, sometimes social workers or therapists will approach us, and they can do that on our website at varietyofillinois.org. We do have
Hmm.
specific cycles for grants, but if we're off cycle, we do try to evaluate requests that come through anyway, because we are always trying to make sure. Sometimes needs are a bit more emergent, and sometimes those needs aren't even that expensive, but everything is out of reach all of a sudden. If you just got your diagnosis, for example, and you need an adaptive car seat to get home, that's a really overwhelming experience. So sometimes we get reached out to by hospitals that say things like, we cannot release this child unless they have the proper equipment to
Oh,
go home and what they need once they get there. So we, as
that's
long
sad.
as well as providing the happy things, we also try to provide the emergent things whenever we can, when finances allow.
That's nice. So there must be some paperwork to be completed before you actually sanction it and go forward with purchasing and giving
Yes,
it to the
because
child.
these are items that are typically refused by insurance companies. The application process, we try to keep it as simple as possible. We know that these parents do not have a lot of free time to be dealing with, but we generally just require a letter from their therapist or doctor, and then we have a wait list of equipment, and we were recently
Oh,
able to get to the end of that wait list, and we're trying now to reset when our cycles will open again. So that was a huge accomplishment. There was a lot of backup over the pandemic, but that we finally were able to get to everyone that had requested something over that time period.
that is so wonderful. So you have your hands full actually. You always have some request or the other to process.
Yes. And we also try to plan events for kiddos with disabilities that are inclusive and accessible. So even when we're not actively working on those grants, we are always planning events around in any season, and looking to keep the kids safe, of course, but also include their families and find fun things to do that are naturally accessible. And if they're not accessible, we try to make them accessible. We're going skiing next week. So, yeah,
Wow.
that requires
That's so
some
cool.
trained volunteers and some special equipment, but that's what we're
Uh-huh.
doing next week. So, it'll be really fun.
How exciting. Wonderful. So do you have skis that are, I mean, adaptive? I mean, do you have skis
Sure,
that,
Variety
okay,
doesn't
all
own
right.
them. We will be working with Adaptive Adventures on that adventure, and as
Yeah,
well as with some adaptive climbing and adaptive cycling coming up this spring. So
that is amazing.
they own the equipment, but we work with them on several events, so that we can allow children to at least try a sport. And
Try,
if they
yes.
love it, they can actually come back to Variety and apply for something like an adaptive piece of equipment. Usually it's adaptive sports chairs for wheelchair basketball, but we
Uh-huh.
have had a request for a hockey sled in the past, and I would love if somebody who attended our upcoming ski trip asked for a ski sled for the future.
Wow. Yeah, I'm sure this is something that, and do you get a lot of children who are obviously excited about participating in a sport, but is there an opportunity, is there a scope for them to move on to some kind of competition if they are talented, of course?
Absolutely. We are so excited to support kids wherever they are on their path, but you can end up at the Paralympics by just starting and trying an adaptive sport locally in your hometown. We have had several Variety kids make it as far as the Paralympics and
Oh,
medal.
wow.
So it's very exciting.
That is so cool. I think it's very rewarding as well, right? To see the kids that have benefited to go on to do something more than just enjoy the experience, right? Which
Absolutely.
is
We're so proud of our Variety kids.
fantastic.
And, it is funny that no matter where they end up along their path, it's just seeing the pride in themselves that makes us so proud of them,
Yeah.
and it's a very touching experience for the parents as well.
I totally get it. Yeah, totally. I, I read something about some sensory film programming or something to do with films where children can enjoy these films, or what is it exactly?
Yes. So a sensory film screening is one where the movie theater will make some accommodation. They won't turn the lights completely down because darkness can be scary for kiddos on the spectrum. Um,
Okay.
so there's still a little bit of light. The sound is turned down a bit because sometimes it's just way too loud in a movie theater. And everyone who
Mm-hmm.
attends one of these screenings is understanding of the fact that there could be vocalizations, there could be running around, there could be dancing, whatever the kiddo wants to react to in the movie is allowed and encouraged.
Allowed.
Yes. So these are wonderful programs. We work a lot with classic cinemas. They do these for their summer movie series in over the summertime, but also throughout the year. Studio Movie Grill does it. I know that AMC has a program. So if parents were to look up sensory friendly screenings, they would very likely find one available in their own neighborhood.
That is super cool. And do you also have interns helping out with this situation? I'm just assuming a situation where probably students who are studying differently able children or the field of disability are probably wanting to see the reactions of these children in such surroundings, in such environments. Does that happen with you as well?
Absolutely. We do not have a formal internship program, but whenever
Uh-huh.
someone is able to help for a few hours or a few months, we are very excited to have them. We have a phenomenal intern volunteer. She's a young lady just out of college, but hasn't transitioned quite into what her occupation will be yet. So she has a little bit of extra free
Mm-hmm.
time, and she's been so wonderful for upgrading our organization in so many ways. She's so much better with social media and technical things than I am, and we're grateful to have her.
Well, Chezuba, the platform that offers volunteers, also comes to you free, where you can also access volunteers with their digital skills to help you out with their website and social media. But of course, that is something that you could apply for whenever you feel the need to.
I saw that
Tell us about your.
when we were booking the
Yeah,
podcast. It's a wonderful organization.
it is fantastic. It is just amazing. The number of nonprofits that are benefiting from this service is mind boggling. Let's take a break to understand what Chezuba is. Everyone at some point ponders on how this beautiful life can be made more meaningful. Maybe you're a leader trying to enhance your employees' experience at your organization. Or you already work for the community and seek volunteers with state of the art skills to strengthen your nonprofit. Whatever your situation, know that you can make a difference. Chezuba began with this very vision, a vision to facilitate every skill and every passion in the world in meeting a social need. Corporate volunteering has several benefits for both businesses and organizations. In parallel, experienced and enthusiastic volunteers join NGO workers, enabling them to serve the community more effectively. Chezuba offers everyone looking to add purpose and meaning to their lives a chance to connect or volunteer virtually with nonprofit organizations from over 100 countries around the world. Visit www.chezuba.net and explore opportunities to find meaning. Chezuba, your platform to do good. And now, back with our guest. Angelique, tell us about the fundraisers and how often do you have fundraisers?
Our fundraisers are, as you mentioned, they are corporate donations, individual donations, as well as events. And our tent pole event is always our golf outing that takes place every summer. And it's a very exciting event. People always look forward to it. We always get a lot of studio support. Um, Variety is
Hmm.
still very much connected with the entertainment industry. And in this age, this is movie theater. So last year, our most exciting silent auction item was a signed Top Gun Maverick movie poster. So,
Wow.
yeah, it's really
Okay.
neat to have things like that on our silent auction every year. It's very generous from Paramount.
That is amazing. That is amazing. So it's pretty exciting, even for the people who are working. I mean, all of you who are working with this, everything is rewarding, of course, but getting to work in such an environment with such collaborations must be something that's super cool.
We really do have way too much fun. I am one of the people who can honestly say that I love my job. I love the people I work with. And at the end of the day, we are helping kids. So it is rewarding and we're doing it for a good reason, not just randomly making money. And you know, that's great too, but not for what we're doing. We want to raise as much money as we can, but the end result isn't the things themselves. It's what the things that that money can buy is doing for these families.
Absolutely. That makes two of us, Angelique. I'm also enjoying my work so much.
I'm glad to hear that because what you're doing, which is getting the word out, is so important to organizations like ours, and we're very grateful for it.
Right. Angelique, so you were talking about Hartley, the mascot.
Our mat our mascot Hartley is a giant heart and he loves to hug children and he comes to our events and he's always the popular attraction for taking photos and he'll be going out into the world this week actually.
And where is that? Where is he headed to?
Hartley is going to visit with Target shoppers. Variety was recently chosen to be one of the nonprofits that can be voted on through the Target Circle program. And anyone
Wonderful.
who uses Target can look in their app and they probably have votes sitting in their Target Circle that they're not really aware of. But until the end of March, Variety is one of those nonprofits that can be voted for. You just have to set your store to the Chicagoland area and you'll find us there. It's an amazing opportunity and collaboration for us. So Hartley wants to go out and say thank you to some of those Target shoppers.
Oh, lovely. How nice. My heart goes out.
Thank you.
Lovely. So, taking up on where you spoke about some children showing talent and moving on to some kind of competitive, maybe the Paralympics or whatever, there have to be costs involved, right? The travel, the training, and participating in. In these events. So, do you also sponsor those, or is it something that you crowdfund the
We
child?
do help crowdfunding with individual athletes. We also have a program called Live to Achieve, and those are grants that are specifically for any type of expense that a family would incur during training or travel or any type of adaptive sport competition, anywhere from the recreational level all the way through the elite, as if you were traveling to world finals, the Pan Am Games, or of course the Paralympics.
Wonderful, wonderful. So basically, you are taking care of end to end, service or requests.
Yes.
That is just beautiful. Lastly, do you have any message, Angelique, to give to people who are listening to this?
We're so excited to have this platform to just let people know that it is a cause that needs attention. It was really difficult during the pandemic because a lot of focus went on very basic needs, food security and housing and things like that because of loss of employment. And we're very lucky that we were able to survive through that. And now that hopefully the world is getting back to normal in as many ways as it can, um, we are back to trying to help all these kids live as normal of a childhood as they possibly can. And we're very grateful for the opportunity to let people know what Variety does for them.
Thank you, Angelique.
Thank you.
Variety Children's Charity of Illinois is doing great work. I'm sure today's episode has thrown light upon the need for inclusivity and belonging for special needs children. Uh, in our everyday lives, most of us get so busy in our routine and mundane things, thinking of someone who doesn't really have access to things we take for granted might be tricky, but it definitely is not impossible. And organizations like yours are actually helping kids feel normal, feel nothing is wrong with them. I wouldn't say wrong, I don't think that's the right word to say, but just being inclusive and feeling one with everybody. Thank you very much.